Yeah, that was this was the Spaniards like recommendation for if I was like I'm not feeling well. She would always say, "Tómate un whiskey." Like have a glass of whiskey. I'm like I don't feel good. She was like, "Have whiskey and then go take a siesta." And I was like, "Okay." So that was like always, yeah.
Wait, when you went there, did you speak full Spanish like you do now?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it got so dialed in when I was there. I mean, I was, what I would say is like probably, pretty proficient, like fluent by a lot of people's scale.
Yeah.
But I did 6 months there, and I went to the University of Madrid, and I took like comparative economics.
You did 6 months?
Yeah, at University of Madrid, and I'm not in a class for Americans, like Spanish classes. So I had to do term papers, art history, like I said, comparative economics, all these like college level courses. When I got back from there, that was the highest level of fluency that I've ever had. I mean, like, because you realize with things that like, like anything, like if you're playing guitars, like, if I was like, oh, we're playing 3 hours a day for 6 months, you're like, yeah, when that was done, that was the best I was ever. It was like that. Like I'm still, fairly proficient in Spanish, but like though I remember getting back and like correcting, like I'd speak to my mom and I'm like, you just misspoke, and I would tell her what she said wrong.
Really?
Because I started by month 3, I started to dream in Spanish, and I would no longer answer the phone. Hello, everything just became, you're just so immersed, and the truth is like, Spain's it's a modern place, but I mean, a lot of people that I met spoke little to no English. So it just forces you. And that's the best way to get proficient in a language, is to be immersed with people who can't even, accommodate you if you need it. They're just like, yeah, I don't speak English. So like that was.
When you came back from Spain, did you, because your mom's Peruvian, and Peruvian sounds different, I'm sure, than Spanish.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you hear your mom's accent?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Really?
and I have a weird accent because what happened was that like I was raised by a Peruvian. I spent the most time in Peru as a kid. Then I spend 6 months of my life still kind of developed. I mean, I'm like 20 years old in Spain. And then I get back and I'm with mostly like South American people. But then I moved to LA for 20 years, and most of the Spanish that I hear is Mexican. So I have words from all three. Like I have slang from all three cultures.
Give me an impression. Okay, do impressions of these different countries in English. Okay. So if English, like I would assume Spanish in Spain sounds like this.
It is. It's the
real
England
posh
of the Spanish
and so
countries.
When they're talking, they're like, "Oh, would you like to go to a bullfight?" It's brilliant.
It's the official way of speaking the language.
It's the wish, and then even when they say this, because they say Barcelona.
Yes, they do. They have a very
this.
particular,
and that's like a real fancy pants way of talking. Is if
yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so that's the standard. So then, what does Mexican sound like?
Hey man. So no.
Mexican sounds like black people.
No, that's the Caribbean. So like, I think among Spanish speakers, they like a lot of Spanish speakers. The way that it works is like Spain is England. Mexico is actually this region's kind of head of state. Like the Spanish that is spoken in Mexico, they have like the Spanish laws of like the way you speak, even though every country will end up doing what they want to do, have their own slang and everything. There's like an official way of speaking that also comes from Mexico. They're also like they're the cultural guide for this part of the world. Like it's the biggest, most influential economy. Mexico is
Okay.
kind of like Mexico is kind of like, how here people go, I'm going to go to New York to make it. Like if you're in Latin America, you can go to Mexico to make it.
Really?
Because they have the most influence on this part of the world.
Okay, so then what is like Bogota? Is that like red? Where am I getting like I want to like I always think Argentina would be like really high end Spanish. Like they'd have like
It's just
like
it's really specifically their own thing. So they have.
but is there any relation to white?
I'm trying to think. So here's the details of it. Like Argentina has a huge Italian and Spanish population. They have a much smaller indigenous population than other South American countries, and they have their own like way of speaking. Their accent is so distinct that like when they speak, it's like when you go, "Oh, you're from Boston." Like
Yeah.
like when they speak, you don't go like, I wonder if you know that they're Argentine." Like it's very strong. Yeah. The whole way of like, I mean, they pronounce, everybody in Spanish says, ELLOS is ellos, right? And then they say ellos. So they have a completely, where you're like, what? It's not water, it's water. So it's like it's their whole distinct way of speaking. And that, so it just really stands out, right? I think if you're looking for like rednecks, the rednecks of Spanish speaking world are Caribbean countries for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what Caribbean country speak Spanish?
Like Dominican Republic,
Dominican
Puerto Rico,
Republic. Oh,
Cuba.
Puerto Ricans are like, well, Tony Hinchcliffe had some jokes about that.
They eat their Tony had that, yeah. They say in Spanish they say, it translates to, they eat their S's, right?
Uh-huh.
So like
What's an example?
Like instead of ellos, they would be like ello.
Ew.
But like they're saying the S, but it's like not pronounced.
They eat their S's.
They eat their S's, yeah.
Are all Spanish laughs the same? Like, okay, so like we all speak English, okay?
Yeah.
But like
By the way, this
obviously
is gonna upset. I just realized how much this is gonna upset so many like people that have Caribbean descent who are like, we're not rednecks. And I just want to say, yes, you fucking are. You are the rednecks of the Spanish speaking world. 100%. You guys are the shit kicking fucking country bumfucks of the Spanish speaking world, and you fucking know it. Cut the bullshit. All right, keep going.
So like do you think you could tell?
That sounds very Dominican.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, keep going.
You saw that lady